Hello, and welcome to the Warcraft Academy guide to Paragons of the Klaxxi Heroic. For this guide, I will assume that you already know how the fight works on normal. If you don't, click at the top to view the normal mode guide. You're going to want to use 2 tanks and 2 healers for this fight on 10 man, and 2 tanks and 5 healers for 25 man. This fight is made a lot easier by having more DPS. It has a really tight enrage timer, and on top of that, the bosses get stronger the longer they're active. Every 30 seconds, every active Paragon gains a 10% damage buff, which means the faster you kill them, the easier a time you're going to have. Some of the Paragons have slightly different abilities, but many are the same as normal. In addition, the order that you face them is fixed, so it's easy to plan a kill order and strategy. You'll start with Rikal, Skier and Hisek active at the start, and it's important that you kill Skier first. The Bloods take up a lot of extra DPS time if you leave him up, and since the enrage timer is so tight, he needs to be killed first. The best way to handle this is to start by DPSing Rikal. As soon as the first set of Blood spawn, all DPS switch to Skier. As long as Rikal is on the lowest health when they spawn, the Bloods will move towards him and not Skier, so you can ignore them and have much more time to burn Skier down. Rikal does need to be tanked about 15 yards away though, since the Bloods do AoE healing when they reach him. Continue to burn Skier, and when the second set of Blood spawn, you need dedicated slows and stuns for each one. You'll want at least a 50% slow on each one, but the stronger the better. You'll also want to assign 2 or 3 stuns for each, using stronger stuns to start and weaker ones at the end due to diminishing returns. You won't be killing these. The idea is to keep them stunned and slowed, and to kill Skier before they reach him. You can either tank Skier here at the centre, or you can have him dragged over to the entrance so that the Bloods have further to travel to reach him. This can be a good idea if you struggle to kill him fast enough. Either way, you'll want to have your range on either side of him so that someone can slow the Bloods that spawn from each side. Hisek will be doing multi-shots on multiple members of the raid at once, which does quite bursty damage to them and is completely unavoidable. He'll do aim just like on normal, and you're going to want people assigned to stand in it. On 10 man, you'll want at least 3 people assigned to stand in it, not counting the targeted person, and on 25 man you'll want 5 depending on the classes you use. Rogues are extremely good at soaking it due to their elusiveness talent along with other cooldowns to survive. Even having one of your tanks jump in can be a good idea. Mages with Cauterize can also be a good idea, or Warlocks with Soul Link. It can also be a good idea to give a healer cooldown to the target of the aim, just in case they don't have anything of their own to use. He's also going to be using Rapid Fire. When he casts this, he shoots bolts of light out in all directions, which move outwards at varying speeds and do very high damage if they pass through you. This is easier to dodge the further you are away from him, so melee will need to run out as it's casting, and everyone will need to pay attention to avoid getting hit by it. At later stages, one hit will kill you. Rikal will be turning people into scorpions at random, just like on normal. The transformation does splash damage, so it's important that you don't stack up to avoid unnecessary damage. The scorpions take very high damage during their transformation, so they'll need a lot of healing. In addition, on heroic, each scorpion needs to eat 1 parasite during the transformation, or they'll die. So the tank that is tanking Rikal needs to let just enough parasites spawn from the injection debuff, so that the scorpions have something to eat. All he has to do is not use active mitigation during the first cast of injection to get the debuff, and start using active mitigation thereafter to prevent any further applications. When the injection falls off, 5 or 8 parasites will spawn depending on if you're 10 or 25 man, which your scorpions can then eat when they get transformed. To eat a parasite, simply target it and use Prey, which is on button 4 by default. The parasites fixate on people and cast Feed on them. This does 100,000 damage a second to the fixated player and can be cast from far away. Parasites must be kept crowd controlled until they're eaten in order to prevent this damage. Now, the number of parasites you need to eat is different from 10 to 25. On 25 men, you get 1 scorpion each transformation and 5 parasites each injection. You should be killing Rikal right after your 4th mutation, so each scorpion eats 1 parasite and you only let 1 injection go through. 1 scorpion will need to eat 2 parasites, which you can do by using your Prey ability very quickly after being transformed, and it will come off cooldown again just before your transformation expires. On 25 man, you get 8 parasites each injection, but 3 scorpions. Assuming you also get 4 mutations before Rikal is dead, you'll need a second set of parasites to spawn in order to keep each scorpion fed. You should ideally spawn the second set of parasites shortly after Skier dies, so you don't get too many at once. Now, in order to ensure every parasite gets eaten, on 25 man, 4 of your scorpions will need to eat twice so that you don't have any parasites left up. You don't want to be dealing with parasites later on in the fight. So you burn Skier down and then switch to Rikal and move towards the entrance if you didn't already. Handle the parasites as just explained and continue to soak aims and dodge rapid fire. Karos will join the fight now, so have a tank pick him up when he lands. Karos' abilities remain the same as normal, however you need a deeper understanding of them to ensure you can avoid them completely. When he uses whirling, he charges at several random people in a row. Now if he charges through you, you have until his next charge to move before you get stunned. So, when he charges along a line, you have about 2 seconds to move away from the area that he charged through. As soon as he does his next charge, anyone standing in the previous area will get stunned and take very high damage, as well as deal damage to anyone nearby. His Hurl Amber ability does a lot more damage as well. Even standing in it for 1 or 2 seconds may kill you. Fortunately, you can use a boss mod to get a warning when he throws it, and you can also see an animation on the ground before it spawns, giving you ample time to move away from it before it does, and therefore allowing you to avoid damage completely. So kill Rikal, ideally after his 4th mutation, and try to ensure that you coordinate parasites so that everyone is eaten. Corvin will land now, and whichever tank is not tanking Karos can pick him up and tank him there. Melee need to be careful not to stand in front of him. Range should still be spread out on either side. Here you're going to split DPS evenly on Corvin and Hissek. The idea is to push Hissek to 50% when Corvin is around 55%. You push Hissek to 50, he gets trapped in Amber, and then you can push all DPS onto Corvin to kill him before he can use Encase in Amber again. Ambers cannot be killed on Heroic, so this is the only way you can get past this mechanic. Whilst you do this, you still need to soak aim lines, dodge rapid fire, dodge whirling, and watch out for Amber pools. Once Corvin is dead, Ayakuk will land and you'll be killing Hissek. At this stage, Hissek will be doing a lot of damage with aims and multi-shots, and you'll still have to watch out for whirling and Amber, as well as dealing with Fiery Edge. Fiery Edge does a lot of damage on Heroic, and if you get hit by multi-shot or diminish whilst it's ticking on you, you stand a good chance of dying if your healers aren't alert. You'll want to use a raid cooldown during each Fiery Edge to reduce the damage it does, and everyone will need to be ready to use health stones or personal cooldowns if they drop low. At this stage, on 25 man, you're going to want to spread out evenly around the room and ensure that you have healers assigned to specific locations so that every area has a healer. On 10 man, you can stay in one quarter of the room, and whoever gets Fiery Edge can simply run out of the group to max range to reduce the damage. If you have a boss mod add-on like Bigwigs, you'll get a chat bubble if you're targeted with Fiery Edge several seconds before the lines appear. This gives you time to move to a safe position away from other people that also have Fiery Edge. Remember, it's the distance between the edges that matters. Once the lines appear, you don't really want to be moving around with them because you might drag the lines through other people. The exception to this is of course if you need to dodge whirling or rapid fire, then it's okay to move. Once Hissek is dead, Zaryl will land. This is the most dangerous part of the fight. You want to kill Zaryl before he does his second Catalyst cast, so you'll be using Bloodlust and your second potions as soon as he lands and killing him immediately. Zaryl has completely different abilities than on normal. Instead of having a red, blue and yellow catalyst, he has an orange, purple and green one. Each player will be given a coloured debuff, red, blue or yellow, just like on normal. When he throws the orange catalyst around the room, anyone with red or yellow will create an orange ring at their location which expands outwards. You can't see your own ring and it won't affect you, but you can see the rings created by other people. This does fairly high damage if it touches you, so it needs to be avoided. Ideally, as soon as he starts to cast the orange catalyst, anyone with red or yellow immediately runs out as far to the edge as they can. This is especially important for melee. When he throws the purple catalyst around the room, anyone with red or blue will be compelled to run forwards for 10 seconds and will drop fire under them as they run. The fire will not deal damage to you until 10 seconds are over, so what you need to do when you get this is to have your character turn immediately on the spot without actually moving forwards. You'll drop all the fire on the same spot, which will save a lot of space. 1 second before the debuff runs out, move out of the fire and you'll be fine. When he throws the green catalyst around the room, anyone with yellow or blue will drop a green pool next to them. This does high damage if stood in and leaves a debuff on you if you take damage from them that increases the damage they do to you. They'll move around the room, particularly towards the melee, and they'll last until the end of the encounter or until they deal damage several times. You're better off just avoiding them for the remainder. So handle the catalyst you get and ideally kill him before the second. Continue to use raid cooldowns for Fiery Edge as appropriate. Once he's dead, Kaztik the Manipulator will land. You can either kill him right away or kill Ayakuk first. Most 25-man guilds should kill Ayakuk here, but 10-man guilds can choose what they feel is easier. Fiery Edge will be dealing a lot of damage in this phase, and you'll also need to keep an eye out for the hungry Kunchongs around the room. These work exactly the same as on normal. If anyone gets too close to one, they'll be eaten and spawn a mature Kunchong. When one casts Mesmerize, ranged DPS need to switch to it and burn down 30% of its health. If it doesn't lose health before it reaches full energy, it will become mature. Whilst you kill it, you may need to use life grips to keep the mesmerized player away from it. One of the tanks can also use the Encase in Amber ability, acquired from killing Corvin, to freeze the player in place and prevent him from walking forwards. In addition, the same Kunchong will mesmerize multiple times in a row. So if one Kunchong casts it and gets broken out, it will be the same Kunchong that casts it the next time. Usually, on the second mesmerize, it will have so high energy that it's not worth swapping to it. So just let it evolve and have your tank pick it up. The mature Kunchongs walk very slowly and melee extremely hard. If you get one, your tanks will need cooldowns whilst he tanks it, and you'll want to kill it off pretty quickly. In an emergency, it can be kited by a non-tank relatively easily. So kill off either Ayakuk or Kaztik. Killrock the Windreaver will now land, and you kill whichever of Kaztik or Ayakuk is still alive. Your raid needs to be spread out here still to avoid death from above from the Windreaver. When he casts it, all range should start running and try to avoid the red circle. It will one-shot people with only a couple of stacks, so it's important to be alert. He'll also cast Reeve, which pulls players towards him and does damage to everyone in the raid each second. It does more damage the closer you are to him, so you just need to keep running away from him until he's done casting it. When you're just left with Killrock and Karos, kill off Killrock first and then finally deal with Karos. There's a good chance Karos might enrage before you kill him. If this happens, you should pop any and all remaining cooldowns on your tank to keep him alive. Once he starts to cast Whirling, this gives you a lot of time in which you can continue to kill him without the enrage killing you. Overall, in this fight there's no single mechanic that's extremely difficult to deal with. The fight is hard because there are a lot of abilities that can kill players off over the fight, and losing even one player will make it very hard to finish the fight. So to sum up, start by DPSing Rikal and switch to Scare as soon as the bloods spawn. Ignore the first set of bloods and then use slows and stuns on the second set to keep them locked down whilst you kill Scare. Ensure to spawn enough parasites for your scorpions to eat, and try to eat every parasite before Rikal dies. Make sure to keep parasites crowd controlled whilst they're alive, or you'll have people dying. Have as many people as safely possible stack in the aim, preferably rogues and tanks and then warlocks or mages. Dodge rapid fire. Once Skir is dead, kill Rikal. Take care to avoid the amber pools and the whirling charges from Karos. When Rikal is dead, DPS Corvin and Hisek evenly. Push Hisek to 50% first, then swap all DPS to Corvin and kill him off. As soon as he's dead, start to kill Hisek. When Fiery Edge is cast, try to move away from the other edges if you're also an edge. Boss mods and chat bubbles can help to identify this before the lines appear. Use at least one raid cooldown for each Fiery Edge. After Hisek is dead, kill Zarel as soon as he lands with Bloodlust and Potions. Try to kill him before his second catalyst. Once he's dead, kill Ayakuk if you're 25-man or Kaztik if you're 10-man. Ensure to stay away from the Kunchongs and swap to the one that casts Mesmerize. You can use Life Grip or Encase in Amber to keep the Mesmerized player away. After that, kill the other of Ayakuk or Kaztik, and after that kill Killrock the Windweaver. Stay spread out and try to avoid death from above and run away from him when he casts Reeve. Finally, kill Karos last, and if he enrages, do your best to kite and use cooldowns to kill him before he kills you. Thank you very much for watching this guide. If you have any comments or suggestions, please post them in the comments section below, and remember to subscribe if you aren't already.